Hey everyone, happy Monday. I hope, unlike me, who's at the office working hard, a lot of you guys are off today for the President's Day holiday. This is another one of our quick little how-to videos to follow up on my last video, and we're going to talk a little bit more about orders of protection. More specifically, what happens when you need an emergency order of protection. So I'm going to get into that in just a moment, but before I do, in honor of the President's Day holiday, I just wanted to kind of talk about some interesting facts related to the holiday. I actually pulled this up on AmericanFlags.com, so that's the source. So initially, President's Day wasn't enacted until almost 100 years after George Washington's death. I think a lot of people probably know that. In fact, I believe President's Day was actually on his birthday before there was a change. President's Day is always celebrated on a Monday. Interesting. My thoughts on that is, why isn't it the Monday after Super Bowl? Come on, NFL, get it together. We're literally a week away. Just push the Super Bowl out another week. Give everybody that 3-day weekend after. Congrats to the Eagles, by the way. So another interesting fact, the first American presidents were immigrants. So I thought this was interesting because some of you might be aware you have to be a U.S. citizen to become president now. But the first 7 presidents were actually born in England and immigrated to the colonies. I actually didn't know that before I pulled this up. So a very interesting fact. Only 2 presidents signed off on the United States Constitution. That was President James Madison and President George Washington. And Abraham Lincoln was the tallest president at 6'4". So just some interesting facts to get you started on your Monday, your president holiday. Like I said, hopefully you're not in the office like we are. So just following up on the last videos, we talked about orders of protection in the court, but sometimes you can't wait for the court to be open, right? One of the questions clients ask, what do I do if it's an emergency situation? How do I get an emergency order of protection? Well, if the court's closed for business, emergency orders of protection can still be granted by a judge in writing, verbally, or telephonically. So if you're in immediate danger and something's going on, the first thing to do is you can call the police. If you're in immediate danger, call 911. If you're not in immediate danger, I would suggest calling the local police number, right? We want to keep 911 available for emergency services. But if it's an emergency, then you got to do what you got to do to protect yourself. But the law enforcement agency, they'll dispatch an officer to review your situation. And if it's appropriate, the officer does have the ability to contact the court after hours to request the court to grant an emergency order of protection. Now, if it's granted, the order of protection does expire within 7 calendar days after issuance, right? So this is just a temporary, quick emergency situation. You need to do something right this second. You're in danger. You're still going to need to go down to the courthouse and follow the previous processes for getting one that's permanent. And we didn't touch on it in the last video, but once you get like a regular order of protection through the court, not an emergency one, assuming it's valid and it's viable and you have good grounds and basis for the judge to approve it, they generally are in effect for 2 years from the time they're issued. They expire after that. They can potentially be renewed if there's grounds for renewing it, but they're generally issued for 2 years at a time. And as we talked about before, if the person you got an order of protection against doesn't agree with it, they are able to contest it. Generally, they're able to contest it for up to the first 12 months, so they don't necessarily have to do it right away. But that's how you go about doing an emergency order of protection. And again, this isn't legal advice. This is just general info to try to help out those that might be going through a situation. Maybe they're not comfortable speaking with an attorney because of the situation that they're in. We get that. At the end of the day, our firm is just trying to help. If you ever have general questions, however, we're always happy to speak with you and make sure you're pointed in the right direction. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their President's Day. Until next time.